Hey, founders, happy Friday. It's Tanya here. More intel and insight to blow your mind and build your bottom line. All right. Question for you. If I say the words inventory tracking or management, do your eyes glaze over? Are you about to hit swipe because you think it has nothing to do with you? If so, I'm going to ask you to reconsider because inventory management or tracking is something every founder should be doing, regardless of the industry that they're in. Now, I know that for many of us as founders, we think that inventory management is really only for those in retail or e-commerce or manufacturing, but that is not the case. Every business, whether you're in agriculture, automotive, construction, food and beverage, even service-based businesses, all of us can stand to better get a handle on our inventory. So today's video is really all about better understanding two key considerations. One is what is inventory? And the second one is why is it so important? So when we look at what is inventory, really top of mind, there's a couple of things that you're probably thinking of right now. Definitely we have raw materials, right? So if we're a construction company, it might be the lumber that we have in the backyard. It might be some of those consumable items like glue or nails or screws, right? All of those things would be considered raw materials. Now, the second category would be finished product. So let's say we're a food and beverage company and we make jam. So raw materials might be our sugar and our fruit. Our finished product is going to be the bottle or jar of jam. Third category to think about, packaging and shipping. So if we go back to that bottle of jam, we've got the jar and we've got the lid and we likely have the label. But then we also want to take into account in our inventory all of our shipping supplies, right? So we have the box and we have the styrofoam chips. So while I'm here, I also want to go back to finished product because I know a lot of service-based businesses think, this doesn't pertain to me. But let's just say you're a coach or a business coach or training facility. Your finished product might include the actual workbook or book that is literally sitting on the shelf. That's what we would consider a finished product. All right. So our three categories: raw materials, finished product, packaging and shipping, and a couple of other categories that is likely you're not thinking about, but one is called a work in progress. So if I'm a jewelry designer, I've taken raw material and I'm starting to make my necklace, but my necklace is not yet a finished product. This would include inventory that would be called a work in progress. We still want to track that. Another category would be goods in transit. So these are items that have not yet been paid for, but have left our warehouse and are en route to that destination that they're going to. Goods in transit, still considered our inventory. We may have inventory that is called MOR, so maintenance, repairs, and operational tools, kind of smaller tools probably, but that will keep our inventory in good repair. So that would be called our MOR inventory. And in line with that, again, not typically considered standard inventory, but again, depending on your industry, we have equipment. So if I am a trucking company, logistics company, my inventory would likely include my fleet of vehicles that I want to keep my eye on, right? The maintenance and the mileage and the warranties and the licenses and making sure that that fleet is in good repair as I am starting to track the utilization of that specific equipment as well. So those are some examples of what inventory can include. Now, if I've missed any, I would love for you to put your posts below so that I can include them in another video and for everyone else to benefit from different examples of inventory that you might be actually taking stock of right now. Okay, so now the second piece of this post is why is managing and tracking our inventory so important? So if you're a financially fierce founder, this is going to be where you're going to want to dig up your direct cost calculator. If you're not a financially fierce founder, I still want you to do the math and dial in on some of these costs as they pertain to your specific inventory. All right. So let's talk about, let's go back here for a second. Sorry, it's Friday. I actually just want to take a moment and explain why tracking this is so important. So a couple of key reasons. One is that inventory is actually, and hopefully you know this, I suspect you do because you're brilliant, you know that inventory is on your balance sheet and recorded as an asset. So it's important for us to track our assets. They are adding value to our business. It would be remiss of us to not be tracking our inventory, right, and our assets. So number one is definitely about tracking that asset and understanding where it's at and what is the value of that asset as we start to move forward. Second reason why it's so important is that when we're really on top of our inventory, we obviously know what needs to be ordered, and we need to know when it needs to be ordered so that the customer demand is being met, right? This is really all about creating operational efficiency within our organization. And the third reason why tracking our inventory is so important, this again is where your direct cost calculator is going to come in, because when we really start to understand the true costs attached to each piece of our inventory, we are then able to bolster our bottom line. So if you're listening to this and you've been wondering where all of your profit has been lost, so you know you made sales, but you can't figure out why there's nothing to show for it at the end of the month or the end of the year, it is likely being evaporated, if I may say so, in your direct costs attached to inventory. It's always in those little details. So a couple of things that I want you to be aware of as you really start now becoming fiercer and fiercer with your financial literacy as it pertains to your numbers in business. A couple of hidden costs that I want you to dial in on. One is storage. So how much does it cost you to store your inventory? Another is carrying costs. So if you've been using debt to acquire that raw material or finished product, right, the interest that you're paying on that debt would be considered a cost, an inventory cost. So let's make sure we're accounting for that. Insurance. If you require additional insurance for that specific inventory, that would be another cost. And think about it. When you think about a product being shipped maybe from China over to Canada or the States, and the harbor maintenance fees. I'm working with a client right now where there are tons of duties and fees attached to that cargo actually coming in to the country of import. Tons of fees attached to that. So just make sure that you're accounting for all of that. Sorry, that would probably be under storage, but definitely different insurance is required too. Don't forget about brokerage fees. I'm going off on a tangent, so I'm going to stop. Taxes, but speaking about brokerage fees and duties, don't forget taxes that you're being charged that you are not going to be reimbursed for. So those would be some hidden costs on your inventory costs as well. Handling and transport fees. So now we're blurring the lines between what are hard costs versus what are labor costs. But think about, for that inventory to actually be handled, is there specific costs attached to that? Right? If items need to be packaged specifically, so not the packaging itself, but somebody actually pulling it off your inventory shelves and putting it into boxes, getting a label on it, getting it out the door, think through that. Ordering. So now we're definitely into, no, sorry, I want to go back to quality control. So quality control, if you need to have your people, your employees specifically, ensure that your inventory is still in good standing and go through the quality on that right before it gets shipped out to the final user. You're going to budget for the labor required in these inventory costs, and yes, ordering. So this again is labor. It's administrative labor that if there is time incurred to order that specific inventory, we want to make sure that that's accounted for. So not an exhaustive list by any means, but it just goes to show you when you really start dialing in on this, that there are many costs that we probably haven't considered that are specifically attached to our inventory. And that because we haven't been calculating them, we haven't been charging the right price and then losing that profitability. So I hope that makes sense to you. All right. So the bottom line through all of this, thanks for watching to the end here, is that tracking our inventory not only protects and takes good care of the asset, but it leads to operational efficiencies. And obviously, it helps to boost that profitability in our business. All right, I'm going to leave it there. This is Taunya signing out, reminding you that you've got to know your numbers if you're going to nail them. And if you like today's video and you want more of this, I come to you every Friday with more intel and insights to blow your mind and build your bottom line. So please hit like or subscribe. For now, have an amazing weekend, and we'll see you next week.